Okay, it is the top of the hour. We're going to get started.
Awesome.
So we're already hanging out together. Now let's get busy with our session. So, hi, I'm Andrea Hill, and I'm your host for MJSA Expo Online. And today we have three members of Parcel Pro that are going to be sharing all about Parcel Pro and their really exciting range of services and technologies that are designed to help you do better business in this digital world that we were just talking about. So with me today, I have Karla Votroubek, who's the Senior Marketing Manager, and Erik Greenstein, who's the Regional Sales Manager, and he's out of the New York office for the East Region, and Glenn Fullerton, who's Director of Sales America, who's covering Canada and Mexico. So welcome. And I'm going to kick this off with a question that somebody said to me the other day. So I said, well, are you coming to MJSA Expo? We're talking to Parcel Pro. And she said, are they UPS or are they something different? And I hear that a lot. So what are you guys? Are you UPS or are you something different?
I think it's a long answer, but I'll try to do the short answer. Is we're something different. We're what the customer needs. We're multi-carrier. We're owned by UPS. We're industry specific, and that's looking to provide a solution for our customers on whether it be risk or insurance or transportation. But the whole idea is we have conversations about our customers, and they have different needs with transportation, insurance, and liability. And they say to us, hey, we have a preference for FedEx, we have a preference for UPS, or our customers taking a look at it, and there are different lanes, and we put together a solution based upon their needs, not based upon our wants. The short answer is we are what you need.
So you're owned by UPS, but you can go on any carrier. You're working out the right solution for the customer.
Absolutely, and from the pure transportation, for shipping and insurance, well, we can do what we call a bundled solution, where we provide both a shipping label for FedEx and UPS. But from an insurance standpoint, when customers have different needs for USPS, DHL, Relator, TNT, etc., we can provide that. We also assist customers in the industry when they have a need for a transactional, less than truckload or air freight, and we're seeing that that there's multimodal needs within the industry. Whether you're a big manufacturer, as you just spoke about a little while ago, or you're a small company that needs to air freight silver in. So they're like we said, there are different needs. We definitely have the benefit of being owned by UPS, financial and logistics, but at the same time, we have the benefit of really being able to work with the customer and always look to customize to their particulars.
All right, that's I think that's important for people to know. Now, you weren't always owned by Capital, though, right? Can you give us some Parcel Pro history?
Sure. So the organization started back in 2017 in Torrance, California. In 2015, Parcel Pro was acquired. Combination of really probably 3 or 4 companies when you take a look at it. The acquisition was Parcel Pro. The acquisition was G4S International Logistics, which at the time was the largest secure logistics company that handled both domestic and international secure logistics. Then there was the legacy UPS Jewelers Elite program, and then we would work in conjunction with UPS and or FedEx. So you start bringing all those things together, and then in 2015, June and July, you started with the birth of the new Parcel Pro, which is a subsidiary of UPS Capital. And the reason why Parcel Pro started in 2017 is there was a need in the marketplace. There was a need in the marketplace to find someone that could help with liability and reduce losses. You have these incredibly high valuables, high volume goods, both domestic and international, and they're going in a common carrier system, whether it be FedEx, UPS, USPS, and you're trying to get in touch with local operators, local people that really don't have an understanding of the industry. And our team really took that opportunity to understand and the expertise and develop a solution that would ultimately be multi-carrier, as we spoke about, ultimately work on multiple platforms where we'll use our website or we'll integrate with the customer's ERP or API or website or whatever it needs to be. And again, just find ways to really touch the customer where they want to be touched as opposed to what we want. So it's been a journey, and it's a continuing journey of understanding our customer base, where they've been and where they're going. We've definitely seen that, there's the advent of the digital growth has just been exponential, and direct to consumer has had a huge impact upon our customer base, where they've had to find ultimate ways to ship during the pandemic. And then the transition from, going from a B2B model to the B2C, as we spoke about, is they've got a new product mix that they've got to figure out. And what we want to do is we want to be there for the transition and for the future. And what I mean for the transition is certain customers are going to still do, to big box. Certain customers are going to private label, and certain customers are also going to start to develop their own retail channels that go to direct to consumers. And they're going to put together a strategy. So they need to have multiple ways to touch their consumers. They need to have, if they're going direct to consumer, they're going to need to have an easy to use return process. It's about providing peace of mind for their customers. It's about making things that are complex simple. And really, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to increase end user satisfaction. But for our customers, we want to make it simple for them. We want to make it so that they can focus on what they do, manufacturing, sales, and experience. When you look at jewelry, it's an emotional thing. It's something that's a milestone. When someone's getting engaged, you want to make sure that sentimental value is taken into account, that hopefully you're only asking the person to marry once and that you're not losing it, or that you've got a family keepsake as a timepiece that's maybe 100 years old. So when we talk about valuables, we talk about it from multiple standpoints, right? We're talking about it from it being, just like I said, it's a family tradition, or it's a life event that you're going to do. And we take that into consideration. When you're working with the carrier directly, they want to assist you, but they don't have the industry's expertise. And we've been in the business for over 20 years, and we've been dealing with all these issues that come across our table as a result. We're always looking for ways to better partner with our customer base.
So give me an example. Before I do that, Glenn and Karla, I'm the one that keeps muting your microphone. I've noticed when I press your mic, then the feedback stops. So I'm watching to see if your mouths are trying to move.
I can be quiet. I can be quiet.
Controlling the feedback.
I just wanted to say, Erik was saying 2015. Parcel Pro started in 1997. So we were purchased by Parcel Pro was purchased by UPS Capital in 2015, along with G4S. But kind of to Erik's point, how Parcel Pro got started was really in the jewelry industry. Majority of watch companies at the time. If you look at the jewelry industries in LA, Chicago, New York, they're very close, but they're not huge shippers for transportation carriers. So UPS, FedEx, whoever, you have 1 or 2 shipments a week or so, they have a very difficult time picking them up and picking them up securely, especially the higher value shipments. So what Parcel Pro created was really a better pickup service for the customers that are more secure in that industry. The carriers run by with a UPS package carrier. It's very difficult to pick up very few packages all the time. It's very expensive. They don't do it very well. It's not very customer centric, and it's certainly not as secure. By having guards in those major markets, making those pickups for the customers, and also making the deliveries, it's much more secure, and it's a better service because they're going to be in that building every day. If they don't pick up from this customer, they'll pick up with one right next to them. So it's much more service oriented, much more convenient, and it was something that UPS Capital is an insurance and finance company. When we were looking at establishing our own presence in those markets, we didn't want to hire additional security. We already had companies that were doing it well. It just made sense for us to acquire them and build them into our current insurance and finance services that we already had provided. We can leverage the UPS network and the UPS service much better than anybody else. Nobody else has the same networks that we have because we are UPS. So from a security standpoint, we can handle and secure those shipments better than any other provider.
So what's the difference if somebody contracts with UPS directly as a shipper versus somebody coming to Parcel Pro and saying, I want you guys to handle the shipment? What's the experience difference? so that our listeners can picture?
Yeah, it's gonna depend on the market. If you're in the jewelry market, you're gonna be picked up by an armed guard that is gonna pick you up every single day and deliver in those markets. So we'll reroute those shipments. As you're using our shipping application screens out anything that's gonna target, that would potentially target theft. So anything that would indicate a jewelry or a high value shipment is gonna automatically kick out that verbiage, and that could be on a label or anything that would make that package desirable from somebody internally. But also with the Parcel Pro system, by putting in the actual declared value in the system, it's gonna still notify the carrier what the value of those packages are. And those carriers move those, UPS in particular moves those packages in what we call a high value network. And that high value network moves separately from what we call, the general package movement. So, a building, say in Orange County, a building's moving around 75,000 packages a night. You got all your packages in one, all sorted through one system. High value gets sorted through a different system. So it's a manual system, goes through a high value cage, gets moved manually, they sign off on it, it's much more secure. If they don't know what the value of those shipments are, because you're not putting that value in the system, they're not going to move it that way. And it goes in the general population, and you got more issues, more claims, more damages, everything else, because it's all moving together. So those are just some of the advantages that we're providing.
So just to make sure I understand, so like in some market where you provide the armed guard, you're going to do like the first mile and the last mile of it,
Correct.
but not in all markets.
Correct.
Correct. And I think, Andrea, some of the things that, when we talk about what's the difference, it's experience. We're industry vertical specific. We're not everything to everybody. We understand the risk. And Glenn was just talking about, some of the enabling technology and how we make it simple for either small shippers. They could be bench workers, they could be mom and pop, they could be going into the retail spaces. We've got the application that's built in there, that we've got some business rules built in there for risk, to reduce risk, to increase the likelihood of the packages getting there, that the customer doesn't have to think about. And when they're working with a common carrier directly, they don't have that enabling technology, and more importantly, they don't have that experience behind them that they're going to know that certain things need to be abbreviated, deleted, as such, so it doesn't become, hey, please steal me.
So a clarifying question on that. So my company's called J Diamond House. What does my label say, and how do you grab it?
It's we're going to auto delete it, or we're going to abbreviate it so it doesn't say please steal me. It could be JX or whatever it is in order to do that.
Okay, so you just translate it and put something else on the label.
Yes. So and then Glenn was speaking about as we do controlled shipping within the diamond centers, New York, LA, Miami, and what occurs is that we're gonna send our team, our guards, up to the facilities. They're gonna pick it up. They're gonna bring it back, and then ultimately, as you spoke about earlier on, is we're gonna make the delivery. And we do this due to the values. We do that for security. And again, historically, there's been high theft in those areas. So security risk is all about reducing the likelihood and adding an additional step. Generally, it takes 7 doors to stop someone from stealing and breaking into your house. Think of it as us just constantly always adding an additional layer to make it more cumbersome for someone to steal. And by doing that, we go back to what we're always talking about. It's getting higher delivery rates and bringing about end user satisfaction for the recipient, which is what we're all looking for. Because when the recipient is happy, our customer's happy. There's no reship costs. There's no drain on customer service. There's no carrying costs. And more importantly, we're not looking at buyer remorse. So those are all the things that are behind the scenes that we do with the enabling technology and the people that we have. And we make it simple. So we've got, and Karla brought this up, a while ago, and I think it's always a great point that we don't really highlight enough, is we've got in the diamond centers, people that are specifically there to answer questions. We've got operations, you can come, we've got supplies, we've got people that have been doing this, and then the guards are, physically there. And as Glenn, spoke about earlier on, is that they're making the deliveries, and then we can work in conjunction with the carriers, and we work deeper with UPS because we can get access to their systems, and then we leverage, like you spoke about, the high value sort, which is a combination of physical and electronic tools that are put in place.
And you can route those packages into the high value sort in any carrier. So you've got arrangements.
Both carriers have different philosophies when it comes to risk. FedEx is looking for having a ubiquitous brown package that no one's aware of. UPS puts a dollar threshold, and when you have a package that's declared $5,000 or greater, it goes through what they call the high value sort. And there's a trigger, and there are certain components where the driver will scan, and there are certain components where the package will be met by security and electronic surveillance, and go from one operating center to another, and then ultimately the driver is going to release the package, after it's scanned to make sure that it's there, which has a component to it, reduces potentially porch piracy, and also helps keeping the customer in compliance with their merchant services because of the proof of delivery component that's required by your merchant services vendor. So, like I said, there's a lot of layers that goes into it, and that's what you get from Parcel Pro instead of going directly with the carrier. Carriers have some great things that they do. We're the industry experts, and that's what we really try to articulate is we've got the experience, we understand, we've seen best practices, we've seen some of the things that go wrong, and what we try to do is we try to share with you how things can go wrong and what you can do to avoid that. So,
like, if I'm a jewelry business, I'm on Wabash in Chicago or on 47th Street or downtown LA, I've got that armed guard and that particular level of service. What if my store's in Webster City, Iowa? Then what can I expect?
Then we work in conjunction with the carriers, and what you're getting at, it really is the website, which has the business rules, and our customer service team, and a sales representative that will have the industry expertise. So outside of the diamond centers or the jewelry centers, it's a little different because there's not the consolidation, as Glenn spoke about. But you're getting all the enabling technology and all the experience and all the access to us, as we spoke about.
Yeah, and if the packages are routed to those jewelry centers, if you're shipping to them, they'll still be delivered with the armed guard. It'll be routed and delivered with an armed guard. So you still on the delivery side, you can still have that service if it's in those zip code areas. On the delivery side, so you still have the secured network, and based on the declared value or the value of the package, you have coverage as well. So,
okay.
Yeah, on a high value, you can still move it through the high value sort. So all the competitors that have their own systems, they don't put a declared value in the system. The carriers have no idea what the value is. So if you call us and we try to track that package with the carrier and we try to elevate it to security, if the value shows 0, they don't put a priority to those shipments because the value shows 0. So for them, they're not seeing any risk. You can imagine, UPS moving 21 million packages a day. Anything under $500 probably isn't going to get a priority to find that package. But anything probably over $1,000 is going to have a much more significant security presence to try to find out what's going on with that package because they don't want to have that lost. So us, by providing that information to UPS or Federal Express, allows us to get a better response from their security team when we have a loss or potential loss.
And we do have a few different advantages too of being with UPS. So when we are multi-carrier, but the advantage of us being UPS is having deeper network of people to call and some different just integration within our platforms. So that is one advantage as well.
Yeah, I kind of call it a little bit of a preferred customer experience because if you call UPS or FedEx directly, you never talk to the same person twice. Yeah. You're getting a different person all the time. You got to dial 10 numbers to get anybody. It's not a very customer friendly environment. On the Parcel Pro side, you're calling the same. We've got 10, 12 people in a room. They're answering the phone calls all the time. They're following up on the shipments. They'll let you know if, hey, we're just not going to be able to recover this package. We're going to file a claim or not, and be able to respond better. Where the carrier, good luck. It's going to be much more difficult.
It's a concierge service.
That's what I like to say, yeah.
Absolutely. We call it white glove or concierge, but that white glove is really the human touch. And I think that's really the advantage of Parcel Pro. And when we look to buy out Parcel Pro and G4S, that was the one thing that UPS Capital heard over and over in our market research was the personal touch, that customer service, and that's one of the things that we wanted to acquire and why we did acquire them.
So Ellen's asking a question. She said, my concern might be different than most. I make sculptural art molds, and my time is often more valuable than the actual material. Is Parcel Pro the right option for me, or is there a way for me to ensure this for the value, which includes the time making art?
That's dealing with what we call consequential loss. And we provide insurance for invoice value, not for the time that it takes to build or the consequential loss. So it wouldn't necessarily be, we wouldn't be able to provide for the reconstruction or the time there. But if there was a sale associated to it and they had an invoice, then just like jewelry, we'd be able to provide coverage for that.
Okay, so invoice value is whatever so not just the cost of the materials, but if it's actually sold and there's an invoice attached, then you're going to insure for that.
Yeah, I mean, customers are constantly showing invoice value that it's not a sale, but they've invoiced the customer for it, and that's really that's what we're using for the proof of the claim.
Value. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So I've made a $250,000 running in a being shipped, and I'm panicky, and I want to check where it is every couple of. Can I do that on your system? Is it better to call you? Is it preference of the customer? Like, how do you handle? Can they do that kind of tracking on your computer interface, or is it always a phone call?
No, website we've got tracking and tracing just like the carriers do, but everything's also being taken a look at the highest values. So we're going to dedicate the team to take a look at it from high to low due to the liability. But just as I spoke, you can do that, or you could reach out to one of the representatives to assist.
So it's either way.
Yeah, I want to say one other thing is that just like Erik was mentioning, but you might not have caught it, is that we do proactive monitoring of these shipments because they are high values. We have a team of people looking at the packages. So we're tracking internally as well as the customer can track on our website. So when they become a member or a customer, they have access to our site, which not only can they get rate quotes, they can ship, they can track, they can pay their invoice. Pretty much every tools that you need to be successful in a business, we make it very easy on one platform so they can do everything.
So what does proactive monitoring mean? I mean, you guys have a lot of packages flying around. So are you how does that work?
So there are data feeds or tracking feeds that we get from the carrier, and then we have teams that are monitoring those and looking at either physical scans or logical scans and anticipating where there might be problem issues. And if something's not delivered, they also work in conjunction with that. So, as we spoke about earlier on, some of the differences between us and going direct with the carrier is we spoke about people, technology, and experience. All those three things come into play when we start talking about the proactive tracking. Having historic data to be able to look at problem areas, right? Having the technology to be able to do it, and then having people, staff to look at where those packages are in the problem areas and working to conjunction to resolve as appropriate.
So when you guys say problem areas, is that just loss? Is it delivery times? What's involved in what's a problem area?
I think one of the biggest problem areas that we're seeing would be either loss or delays, and those are some of the areas, but also some of the problem areas are why we do the controlled shipping. So the historic data that we've had in the past that deal with high theft areas, say in New York, 47th Street, or in LA, we built into that so we could actually have those packages routed where Parcel Pro comes, brings their people with armed guards, bring them back to our facilities, and then we'll ultimately make the delivery to the end user. So
we've talked about risk mitigation and insurance and making sure that there's a value on things so that they get treated with a higher level of attention and tracking. What are some of the other things you guys do for your customers? What are the other reasons I should be using Parcel Pro instead of just going on UPS.com?
I think, one of the other things that we do is we help customers, make it simple to go into new markets. And what I talk about is international market shipping or exporting can be a bit complex. Trying to understand a commercial invoice or harmonized codes, or when values are greater than $2,500, you have to go to the U.S. Customs side and get a particular what's called an ITN number. We take all that complexity, and like I spoke about earlier, we make it simple. We make it that the commercial invoice is very simple, that we have the most common harmonized codes, that you're just easy to select. We go to the U.S. Customs system, and we get that ITM number that I just spoke about, and where the carriers will charge either $15 UPS or $13 FedEx. It's a value add that we provide. And then we also have the ability, when it comes to, as we do on the domestic side, on the international side, able to ensure packages of high value by each particular country. At the same time, we're also helping customers when they're starting to look at on the e-commerce side, and they might be working with some of the exchanges, some of the larger exchanges that they got to do direct to consumer. We can help with that. We can have a very simple process where they can send their packages back through our system and have the appropriate insurance. So again, what I speak about is when I talk about business development, I'm talking about making it easy for you to go over, for you to ship, export, and go into new markets, and saying that it's simple. I'm sorry, you're about to ask a question.
What does that mean? Because I'm not sure everybody knows what that means.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
When you say through the exchanges, what do you mean?
Well, I don't want to name their names but let's just say you're drop shipping for Blue Nile.
Okay, so you're talking Blue Nile,
yeah,
Amazon,
and any one of those that you might be drop shipping for Blue Nile, and you might be having a diamond coming in either from India or Dubai, etc. And you need to have a very simple, easy to use process from either your vendor or from your factory, and you're not looking to wait for an armored shipment because you just need to do one package. As opposed to waiting to do a consolidation, it's direct to consumer. Or you're a brand new startup business that's never done this before and don't have the experience, and just saying, hey, listen, I want to go into this market. I want to be able to do export. I want to be able to do some returns. I'm not sure how to do this. Our systems are set up that it's very easy to walk through, and then our sales resources can then go deeper into it. But always, trying to look at it in twofold. Keep it simple, but also provide enough information that you're managing risk and making sure that everyone understands what they need to know.
So here's a question that a lot of our video producers are starting to encounter is even very small vendors are now selling through Amazon. Let's use Amazon as the example. And they're discovering it's not like it used to be when you wanted to go on Home Shopping Network and they needed 30,000 pieces and you were going to get, 22,000 of them back. Selling on Amazon might mean you only sell a couple of pieces at a time. They can handle the volume. They can't figure out the logistics. They have to be able to handle the shipping tracking and the return process and integrate with Amazon's system. Can you guys help them with that?
So the shipping will be very easy for the small shipper when it comes to just being able to use our website, whether it be domestic or international, for both outbound and inbound. Integrating with Amazon, there's more complexity that comes with that, and we would have to sit down with the customer, because Amazon is what we call a closed or proprietary system. We have to be able to find a data feed that we can integrate with. I don't want to get too technical, but I'm just saying it would be a customized solution. We'd have to flesh out with the individual and speak either with their development team or say, hey, listen, why don't you start off in a very simple fashion of using our member site, create the label, send it out, create what we call a drop ship label, which is a return label when it's necessary, and then you can update as appropriate. So doing it in a staged approach where, again, we go back to, you're simple, it's small, and as you grow, let's develop a custom solution for you. and that means if we need to integrate with an API or an EDI feed, we're able to do that as appropriate. But we'll need to work with your development team.
I think that's a great answer because it helps people. Because I think when people start wanting to sell through one of the exchanges, they start thinking they have to do the whole Magilla.
I hear Shopify all the time, and it's and they're like, can we do an API? We can do an API, but you've got to understand is that it's closed, so we've got to find an access point to do it. So let's go simple, because there's a lot of cost in development for you. There's our API. There's no cost from our API with the credentials and all that other stuff. It's free, but your development time that you're paying someone is a cost. So before you start spending X thousands of dollars in time and resources, do proof of concept. Just start using our site. It's designed for you. It's easy for you. It's got everything that Glenn just spoke about earlier on, from the risk side, from the control side, from the delivery side, from the expertise. It's all there. It's what we started out as the very beginning, is help the small shipper be able to grow. And then as they grow, we scale with them. So yeah, Shopify, start off with just become a Parcel Pro member. We'll create custom rates for you. We'll walk you through where we think is appropriate. My team is doing it on a daily basis, where we're just having that conversation of, I know what you want, but what do you need? And a need is something simple. And then let's grow into it.
Cool. And then they have the confidence of knowing they can start simple with you, but you're also that partner that can get more complex with them as they need it.
Absolutely.
That's cool to know. Craig has a question. He said, Stamps.com uses Parcel Pro for their UPS services. They do not charge a residential surcharge. Is that a special benefit for Stamps.com, or is that a Parcel Pro benefit?
I don't believe Stamps.com has a Parcel Pro account, but I do know that we don't provide waivers on residential surcharges, because we don't have a waiver on residential surcharges from any of the carriers we have. Now, I can find out on the UPS side whether they've got a corporate agreement with Stamps.com, that maybe they've offered something on the Stamps.com side for UPS shipping. And then on the insurance, they may use UPS Capital for insurance, but not for transportation, because we do insurance only as well. So it's not just transportation and insurance. But yeah, I'd have to do some research on that and get back to you to give you an answer. But typically we don't waive residential surcharges. Now, they may give them, obviously, an enterprise type customers with a lot of volume has different
Discount.
different discounts. But I can tell you that we really, UPS is really focusing on middle market customers and the enterprise customers that have had extreme discounts in the past. If you've seen any of the UPS's financial reviews, they're really focused on middle market and not on the enterprise type customers. Right now, the reality is there's more volume than capacity in the transportation, in middle market transportation. We're running over capacity. We've been running over capacity for over a year, really a year and a half. 2019 peak, we went right into peak with COVID. Volume levels at UPS in particular, residential volume was up 70% over plan. Commercial volume was down 40%. The problem the carriers run into when your residential volume increases that dramatically is it puts a huge strain on your network. Typical delivery, you deliver between 12 and 14 packages of stock. On a residential delivery, it's 1.5 packages of stock. So you need almost 14 more resources.
That's not what it looks like outside my window. I'm pretty sure we're well,
I mean, we're in Wisconsin.
Don't hear anything.
So it is a big challenge, and residential is a big challenge at UPS now. And you've seen, everybody I know has seen the cost of transportation skyrocket, and it really is the fact that residential is not a super profitable mix for the carriers. It's really expensive to deliver. It takes a lot of resources, and the carriers are struggling to figure out how they manage that process. But That's the new reality. And you know, it's when I was looking through, going through I love the monthly MJSA newsletter, by the way. But Harold does really good in the journal. Harold does a really good job of analyzing the market and says what it's at. And when I compare it to what we're getting, he's right on where the market's going and the trends are. And that increase in residential delivery has really put all the carriers going, okay, what's going on? We got to fix our network, and that's what everybody's struggling to do right now.
And is that the talk internally at corporate, an extended era of really high volumes of residential delivery, or do you guys see that backing off a bit?
Well, we've already seen a little bit of a decline from the growth that we had and more commercial coming back as businesses have opened up. But the accelerated increase in residential delivery has just exploded from last year. So we don't expect that to change. And it really is requiring us to change our network.
Are we going to see that if reflected in I'm not asking about Parcel Pro rate specifically. Do you guys anticipate an era of increasing shipping costs? Okay, I can't speak English. That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, right now the inflation rate's growing dramatically, as everybody's seeing. The gas prices are way up, and gas prices drive transportation costs as well. And the increase in residential, the increase in gas, you're going to see increases in rates. They're going to have a rate increase this peak season again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they add a higher residential surcharge rate. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not getting, we're at the mercy, just like everybody else, on the freight carriers. We leverage our 7,000, almost 8,000 customers to get a better rate from each carrier and share that rate to our members. But the reality is we're still at the mercy of the carriers and what they're charging.
Well, and that's where I shift from host to strategy advisor role and remind all of our attendees, you need to be building these thoughts into your pricing over the next couple of years, because we do have inflation, we do have really high gas prices, you are shipping more. So let's not pretend it's not happening or hope it's not happening. Let's all just start anticipating and looking at our pricing carefully so that you don't see it in your bottom line and wish you had. So sorry, little commercial there for price planning of our client base.
I'm in absolute agreement with you. Just as Glenn spoke about, there's just been a shift in the buying criteria and behavior, and the pandemic, accelerated it. Whether it be 5 years or 10 years, there's different, metrics out there that are saying 5 and 10 years, but it's definitely been an increase. And even if it went back X percent, you've still gone so far ahead into it, and consumers are not only, they're used to the convenience, and I think it's growing, and it's one of the buying criteria that you're going to see. And the work from home has also changed the composition of the marketplace, because with the work from home, you have different needs. So as Glenn spoke about earlier on, there's a change in the composition of the product mix. And what I mean by that is deliveries going to businesses or commercial residences, commercial addresses, or to consumers, or as known as residences. So that change in concert with the work from home, and I think people really liking the convenience, has shifted, as I think we spoke about earlier, the direct-to-consumer marketplace. And as a result, you're seeing higher increases because of the profitability.
So we do have a lot of MJSA members who are looking at direct-to-consumer shipping today that really weren't doing direct-to-consumer shipping before. Either because their customers are just saying, just ship it to me because I don't want to come into the store. And we're still seeing some retail hesitancy of people actually physically going into stores. I think we've all become like psychological hermits in the last year. People are having a hard time breaking out of the habit. But also more people put business tools online. So are there any other things that you guys would recommend for them to think about as they move into these DTC behaviors?
The shifting of the way that you're getting your goods, is I would definitely say some of our customers are definitely breaking down some of the stuff that historically would go in an armor carrier due to volume and or value limits, and as a result, they still have a $50, $100, or $150,000 package that they need to go, but it's not cost effective or time effective to wait for a consolidation, and we can play within that market. It's the same thing, on the international side, and also, with the marketplace, we've seen definitely an increase in the values, not only in jewelry, but we've also seen it in trading cards and stuff along those lines. And armor carriers generally don't go to consumers' homes, so you've got a pinch point of, am I going to lose a sale because I can't get my product to the consumer, and I'm making it inconvenient for them to go to some sort of center, whether it be a UPS, a FedEx, a hold for pickup, something along those lines. So what can I do to ensure I don't lose that sale? And I think we spoke about this, is that we have what limits of liability, or the insurance that we can provide that can go to a consumer, and we can generally go up to $100,000 to a residence, and generally to a business $150,000, and sometimes higher or whatever on the domestic side. And we can do certain things on the international side. When I spoke about earlier on is, for the exchanges, if you're doing a just-in-time inventory, or you're getting a one-time sale, either the time that it takes to wait for a consolidation with an armored carrier, or the cost might make it prohibitive. So can you transfer some of that business in order to meet a time in transit and a customer satisfaction and a cost issue? So there's an underlying, financial, and there's an underlying business cost that goes within it. So we're going in, we've been in that space, but it's expanding. It's expanding because there's more and more needs, and it's expanding because what we just spoke about earlier on, is the influx of the direct-to-consumer e-commerce business that, might go down a little bit, but I think we went from 16% to 23, 24% that, that's being done online on the retail side, somewhere in that ballpark. I forgot the exact numbers, from McKinsey, but those are huge. Those are huge changes, just tremendous changes, and having the ability to play in that market and be a small startup that has the ability to go on Shopify or whatever platform that you want to go on, Amazon, etc., or your own platform, really builds out your brand, your marketplace, and your sales. So the mix that we spoke about earlier, and our ability to customize to their particulars, is something that we have those conversations about when we do a needs assessment with the customer about, hey, what's your business plan? What's your marketing plan? What do you need from us? Let's not talk about transportation, but how do you plan on getting your goods there? What's your growth? And then let's back into where we could play with, we can play in that space.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that you talked about was tools, and we do have a tool on our parcelpro.com when you become a member, which is basically a tracking system that you can actually put an image of your product or products on, send it to your customer, and the tracking ID is hidden. So when you're going to residential, especially, you have another risk mitigation that you can basically take the tracking ID out of the customer's hand, but still be able to track the package. But again, it's a risk mitigation tool.
Yeah, and Andrea, what Karla just spoke about is we provide a nested co-branding, in the image for our Parcel Pro Notify, which has our own tracking number that's not the carrier, and they get all the information that they're looking for. But just as Karla said, it's a place for free advertising with your own logo. So they're getting information that they need. You're putting out to the customer a message that you want to provide, and we're mitigating risk. So it's a win-win all about, and that's just one of the solutions or tools that we're working with our customers on for the nested co-branding.
Yeah, Andrea, just kind of on a commercial teach thing, and one thing when we're having more e-commerce sales that people I know I've been struggling with for the last years is return services and getting those packages. And how do you allocate the cost of those returns? Keeping track of how many returns I have, what does that cost me in time and effort and extra? Because you really got to add that cost in to your fee, you know, the product. Because if you don't, you're losing money.
Yeah, you
make it easy.
Go ahead, Karla.
I said, and we can make it easy, right? So that's the one thing, is that returns are a huge factor for customers, consumer buying. They look at, how do I return the product? And you need to have a solution, so that you don't want them to just do the normal thing. You want Parcel Pro there to help with the risk mitigation.
Yeah.
You want Parcel Pro to make sure that they're looking at the package. You want Parcel Pro to know how this package is. You do not want to lose that package in general standards, and that's where Parcel Pro can really bring value and help you.
Yeah, you want it sure coming and going, but at the same time, you know, I kind of laugh because my wife buys this. She now, because of COVID and everything, she's buying all these clothes online and all this stuff, and she returns 99% of it. I'm like, going, what are you doing? I go, that's crazy.
But in apparel, I spent years in the apparel world in direct marketing. In apparel, we build in a 40% return rate to our pricing, because you know people are going to order it, try it on, and ship it back. So this is a really important point you guys are bringing up, is that jewelers need to learn what our return rates are and build that percentage of return rate into our pricing. Otherwise, the logistics expense of selling online is just too high. You won't be able to recoup it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crucial, otherwise you'll be losing money. It's just.
Yep. Ellen's asking, is there a price point where Parcel Pro starts to make sense? Is it like, you know, do you need to be at a higher price point? Does it make sense at any price point? So is it just for more expensive goods?
No, I think on the domestic side, we're working with customers that are doing costume jewelry to fine jewelry. So, you know, it's definitely there as far as, you know, from a pricing perspective. When we start talking about, you know, shifting from an armored carrier to Parcel Pro on the international side, you start talking values of $25,000 or greater, $25,000 to $100,000. That's going to be the sweet spot that, you know, we can play in on that side. And similarly, you know, if we're talking about going to the consumer, up to $100,000 going direct to consumer, moving that away from the armored carrier, getting, as we spoke about, information-based tools, like we were saying on the tracking, that the customer can have, and then they can make business decisions, inform their customer service team to what's going on. But obviously, you know, having the ability to move some stuff away from armor isn't just a financial, but it's a business process, because you're getting information that the armor carrier generally can't provide by using Parcel Pro, having access to UPS or FedEx.
Yeah, I'm going to say that there isn't a price point, a bottom price point for shipping and insurance. You're going to have consolidated rates. It's going to be better than, typically it's going to be better than what you're going to be able to negotiate with the carrier, because the volume levels typically aren't very high. And the carrier discounts are based on volume. Our discounts aren't based on volume. You don't have, what the rate you get is the rate you get. The rate we provide is the rate we provide. There is no revenue thresholds, et cetera. The carriers put typically a 52-week average contract in front of you, and if your volume goes up or down, you lose your discounts. You never really know what you're paying. And then on the accessorial fees, you're typically paying a lot more money on accessorial fees than you do with Parcel Pro. So, you know, it's much simpler, it's much cleaner, and you know, once you understand the rates, what you have is what you have. It doesn't fluctuate. It's not going to change until we have a rate increase. When the carriers give us our rate increase, we send it out, and even then, it's a fixed rate, so you're not worried about it fluctuating over time.
And Andrea, you had asked, you know, what are some of the differences? And when we speak about experience and understanding seasonality, we've got, you know, the industry will go up and down based upon the holidays, based upon, you know, the summer, and then as Clint just spoke about a few moments ago, is that will impact if you're on a contract or a bid, that your discounts or revenue shares, whatever you want to call it, will fluctuate. You know, because of our experience and understanding that the industry is looking for something simple. And we've been doing this for over 20 years. We provide a rate sheet understanding what you're doing, and then, as Clint spoke about a moment ago, is, once a year it's raised. So again, it goes back to being simple and understanding our industry of X as opposed to dealing with 20 or 30 million packages per day.
Well, and as a person who's spent decades in the carrier contract world, where you needed 2 full-time staffers just to constantly monitor to see if you were getting the discounts and what you didn't, there's a lot of comfort in just knowing what your price is so you can plan for it.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. So what else do you guys do? What are we missing?
Well, I think we need to bring it back really to the people. I think it's really important to understand not everything that we do have, again, at Parcel Pro. We've talked about a lot, but to really kind of like wrap it back up, right? So we talked about being experts in this industry for over 20 years. That's very powerful, but what does that mean to our MJSA members? It means that you can trust us, you can count on us, and you can count on us for knowledge and experience and expertise, whether you're a jeweler, a manufacturer, a precious metals dealer, whatever it is, we have solutions for you, for simple to complex. So from using our website to integrating with an API solution or EDI, come call us, come talk to us, put in an information for us to call you so that we can really meet your needs. We want to get to what you need, not what we need. And I think that's really important.
It's kind of funny when you say what else we do, because Erik says we do everything, but the reality is we are owned by UPS, and we are owned by a UPS Capital, which is an insurance agency which does cargo insurance. We do transactional insurance, but we also do cargo insurance.
Cyber insurance.
There's all sorts of insurance products that we cover that you can get so depending on the size of the company, we can cover pretty much everything. From a Parcel Pro perspective, our pricing and everything is typically focused on 1 to 10 pound packages of medium to higher value shipments. Our insurance rates are much lower than the carrier rates. Carrier liability and insurance is completely different if for those that don't know. The carrier, when you declare value, is not insurance.
Explain that, because people don't know, and I think that's a really good point to clarify.
Yeah, so carrier liability is not insurance. If you put a declared value on a package and you think you're insuring with the carrier, it's not insurance. They're not an insurance company. They don't have adjusters. They don't have anybody underwriting the rate or anything. They can't act as an insurance company. They don't pay their claims like insurance. They're not regulated like an insurance company is regulated. So that being said, they have a fixed rate, and their fixed rate is typically very high. I mean, they're like at 110 per $100 of value. It's very high, and Postal Service is even worse. They're ridiculously high on their insurance rate. So they're very high, and it's not insurance. They don't have to pay your claim. They don't have to pay the claim. They can deny the claim for whatever reason that they deem in their book as a reason not to pay. Again, they're not regulated. So when you have insurance, it's very regulated. So it's a contractual basis. You can read the terms and conditions. You know what's covered, what's not covered. It's a lot more streamlined. So unless there's really a fraud or some kind of something that goes against the policy, it's gonna be paid out. It's a much more cut and dry payout session. And the price is based off the risk that we're underwriting. So the price is going to be much lower than what you're going to typically pay with the carrier. Our average rate is probably in the 30 cents per 100, 35 cents per 100 as an example. It's not for everybody, it just depends, but an average is probably around that, where the carrier's at 110 or better.
So that's covered for every possible contingency.
Right.
They're covering for everything. And they probably pay less than 50%. Probably. I've been with UPS. I've been in small package and transportation for 30 years now, so I've seen it all. And on the insurance side, you're looking at 97, 98% payout typical on claims. It's night and day difference. It's just not the same, and you're paying way less. So you get more, you pay less. It's completely different. But every deal can be specific for each customer and what their needs are. So you have customers that are doing big machines that are potentially expensive. You might need a cargo policy. You might need something different. Their packages may be heavier than what our typical pricing aligns for. We can customize that. So it doesn't have to be that way. So if somebody has a specific need, something comes up, just understand if we get an idea what their characteristics are, what their needs are, we can customize a solution. And we also have access to UPS, FedEx, whoever, and get their solutions as well, and bring those solutions in-house as well, which I can't even count how many that they will have right now. So
yeah, and I think, as I said, with all that, it's just like Glenn made very good points of we pay claims. We're good at paying claims. We're used to paying small claims and big claims, so we do it faster, unlike some of our competitors or competition. So we can handle that. We have the security, we have the guards, we have the people, we have the technology, we have the tools. It's really, why not us? Why not Parcel Pro now? Come call us, come do this. It's your reputation. We're here to protect you so that you can grow and keep your customers happy, which is what Erik said at the very beginning, is that we're here to help you grow. We're here to make sure that you have happy customers, loyal customers. And one of the things that we know is that we have a lot of very loyal customers, which goes back to the people and our reputation and our service.
Yeah, just to add to that is with COVID and with the residential delivery, claims, as you can imagine, have went through the roof. Claims are probably three almost, in some months 4 times higher than it used to be. We're used to handling a lot of claims. And we were struggling to handle all the claims because they were coming in like crazy. There's a lot more porch piracy, a lot more theft, a lot more fraud, and it takes a lot more effort to process those claims. We're able to process them. We may be a little bit later than normal, but we were able to process them because our industry typically does 20, 30 million packages a year, or 20, 30 million packages a day. And so they're used to handling a lot of claims. So yeah, claims increase, but we still have the staffing, we still manage, and we still get through it. Our competition doesn't have that. And typically they're used to handling very few claims on an average, and they put the high deductibles, liability limits on those. So you're not really getting what you're paying for typically in those environments. And what we've seen is we've actually been getting a lot of referrals because they can't handle the existing environment. And they're not paying their claims because of it.
But it seems like a no-brainer because I'm going to get actual insurance and it's going to be less expensive. So it's really hard to imagine, I think sometimes people think Parcel Pro is more expensive because of all these services. But it doesn't sound like it.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, and the thing is you get what you pay for. I know that the whole saying, you get what you pay for. But understand the environment's different. What the carriers are relying for is the general population of everything. So somebody can ship a baseball card worth $100,000, or they can ship something worth a nail worth pennies. But they're just doing an average, saying, hey, I'm going to cover myself. Where we're very more specific of our industry, what our loss ratio is in our industry, and specific to that. And we bundle it with 8,000 of your closest friends or more to keep that price point low, so that everybody doesn't have to pay a high price.
That's cool. We've got one question, and while I'm posing this question, we might have time for one more, but if you've got a question, get it in the chat box now because we're running out of time. So Christina Maria wants to know that she wanted to circle back again to reconfirm. If I set up my website on Shopify, can you explain or elaborate again Parcel Pro's connection with Shopify? Would there also be a connection if there's a website via GoDaddy?
So I think we spoke about it, being a two-pronged approach. with Shopify is you start off just using our member site that's not integrated. And then as you grow, what we can do is we can integrate not with Shopify, but where you're transmitting that information to Shopify. And that will work with our API. So, it's a two-pronged approach. One is, keep it simple. Two is build it out as appropriate.
Any other questions from our audience? And you just did a really good job of sort of wrapping it all up, Karla, but any other last thoughts from you guys that you want to make sure our audience leaves?
Eric, you want to close this up? Or was Christine have another one? Okay.
I think it always comes down to is, we've been doing this, over 20 years, and we're constantly learning. And we're fortunate enough to work in an industry where we're getting feedback and we're able to develop. And we're fortunate enough to have the financial backing of UPS and still be entrepreneurial, where we can customize to people's particulars. What I mentioned earlier on is, we're multi-carrier. And we're seeing, when we look at the MJSA, it's Manufacturers, Dealers, Suppliers Association. And a lot of times those suppliers have a need, as Glenn spoke about, for insurance. Whether it be LTL, whether it be air freight, whether it be full trade, we were helping customers move silver, in an LTL environment or in a small package environment. We're looking to constantly evolve with our customer base, and part of that is having these conversations and getting the feedback. But ultimately, please, thank you for your business, and please, bring us the questions, and we'll try to develop the solutions as appropriate.
Okay. Well, I think that's a wrap. There's no more questions, and Glenn made Karla and Erik do the wrap up. So
we appreciate it. Thank you
for the time and the opportunity to kind of explain a little bit more about Parcel Pro and maybe clear up what we can do. I think it's very, we could talk for a long time, clearly. We have a lot to offer. It just is, call us, let us learn your business so that we can help you.
That's good advice. And it sounds like there are people there to answer the phones.
There are.
All around.
Everybody call Eric.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up with that then. This has been another episode of MJSA Expo Online. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Erik, Glenn, and Karla, for this great information. I've been personally involved in shipping, like I said, a really long time, and this was super informative and interesting to me. So I know our audience got a lot out of it. And with that, I'm just going to bid you all adieu. Please join us next Thursday for the next MJSA webinar. We'll be talking about your mid-year business review and what you should be looking at in your business at this point of the year. That's next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I don't think we have another MJSA Expo online on deck just yet. But keep an eye on that brand new MJSA website. You should go check it out because all the information about upcoming events is on there. So thanks, everyone. I so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.